Welcome back to Finch. In this tutorial, we're going to cover the massing studio in Finch. So let's go ahead and open one of our projects. I've opened a mixed-use tower project. Let's have a little look at what we can see on our screen. We can see context that I've brought in from Forma, and we can also see the building mass that I've modeled directly in Forma that we've uploaded to Finch. If we come over to the right of our screen, we can see a breakdown of our data drawers, as we call them. So what we do is we're going to start assigning some programs to our mass. In Finch, we work with programs on the scale of defining usage, for example, residential, circulation spaces, retail, hospitality. Then once we zoom into the units, we start to specify space types. So let's go ahead and start assigning some programs. I'm going to select our 2 floors here and choose some from our default menu. Let's make these retail. The moment we do this, we see it synchronizing. And if we click on these figures here, we start to see our rings updating. The purple shows us what percentage we have of retail now. Let's move up and make these office. And let's assign residential for the rest of the project. Now you see that our rings have closed out because we've assigned a program to every part of the project. So we can see our breakdown of all of our different programs and our key figures. If at this stage we know that we aren't achieving the figures that we need here, then what we can do is we can jump back into the software that we modeled the massing in. In this case, it would be Forma. I'll jump back into Forma, simply change my mass, and then re-upload it into Finch. If we come up to programs here and we see our drop down, we have our different figures that we can look at. So we have GIA, NIA, percentage of GFA, quantities, things like this. If we want to assign custom calculations, we can right click and go on edit. Here we'll see we have residential already open. So we can add, for example, let's add a budget calculation. So we say we have 1500. GFA, that is, let's say that's dollars. Now we can simply come down and select budget, and we'll see the total cost for the residential area. We can go ahead and do the same things for retail and office. It's worth noting that we can also make these in our space types as well. So once we get down into our apartment plans, for example, if we know specific cost of a kitchen, we can stipulate that cost here so that we can make quick budget calculations at the apartment level as well as the floor plate level. Final 2 things we're going to look at is the story heights, and then we're going to look at the external wall width. So we see we have the story heights here. Everything is at one color, and that's because currently we have all floors the same color. If you want these colors to change, it's simply a case of opening your data drawer. So if we open the programs, we see the separation of programs here. Let's change our story height. Let's make it 6,000. Let's have a big high penthouse apartment at the top. Come to our story heights. Now we can see this is different. Perhaps we want our retail to have higher ceiling heights here. So let's go 6,000. What you're going to notice is that these aren't the best fit for the massing that we've uploaded. You'll see that the massing, the wireframe, is never going to change because this is what we've modeled in our software. So let's go and bring these back to the original 3000. It's residential. Once we're happy with our story heights, if we zoom in, we'll notice that we have a small buffer here between the floor plate and the wireframe. This is because when we upload our volume from our software, we're uploading the exterior shell. And what Finch is going to do is Finch is going to work on the interior. So if we come down to our outer walls here, we can see that the outer wall width is currently stipulated at 350 mil. If we want to make this 450, simply update here, and we'll see this buffer change. So the good thing to always remember is that when we're working in Revit, Rhino, Forma, or Grasshopper in our early stage, when we're massing our project, we're working with the exterior shell. And then once we're in Finch, we're going to offset that with the outer wall width, and we're going to work on the interior. So that's it. That's everything we need to know for the massing studio. In the next tutorial, we're going to go ahead and jump in and start generating some floor plates.